This is the practice test 2 review video. So number 1, determine if x equals 1/5 is a solution of the equation 10x minus 1 equals 5x. So we want to know if 1/5 is a solution to the equation 10x minus 1 is equal to 5x. So what we want to do here is plug in 1/5 wherever there's an x and solve. So the 10 we could write as 10 over 1, and really what you're doing is you're dividing 10 by 5. So 10 and 5. So 10 divided by 5 is 2 minus 1 equals, I can write 5 over 1. So we're really just dividing 5 by 5, which is 1. So equals 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. So now we're left with the equation 1 equals 1. So you have to determine, is that true or not? So 1 does equal 1. So this is a true statement, which means 1/5 is a solution to the equation. If you would have gotten a false statement, so instead of 1 equals 1, if you had gotten something like 1 equals 5, that would be false, and you would say 1/5 is not a solution. So that's not what we got, but if you had gotten a false statement, you would say it's not a solution. Since it's a true statement, you say that it is a solution. Number 2, it says solve the formula V equals LWH, solve for L. So that means we want L to be by itself. So what's on the same side as L? We've got a W and an H. Since they're all multiplied together, we're going to divide by W and H. So those will cancel out. So V over WH is equal to L. And since L is by itself, that's all we need to do right there. Number 3. That was number 3. I skipped number 2. So let's do number 2. Number 2 has multiple parts. So part A is negative m plus 4 is equal to 18. So we'll distribute the negative. So we have negative m minus 4 equals 18. We add 4 to both sides. So we get negative m equals 22. And to get the m by itself, we divide both sides by negative 1. So we get m equals, negative 22. Okay, part B, we have 9u plus 32 is equal to 15 times u minus 4 minus 3 times 2u plus 21. So we will start by distributing. We'll get 9u plus 32 is equal to 15u minus 60 minus 6u minus 63. Now we want to combine like terms. So on the left we have no like terms, but on the right we have 15u and negative 6u that we can combine. And then we also have negative 60 and negative 63 that we could combine. So on the left we bring down 9u plus 32. On the right, 15u minus 6u is 9u, and negative 60 and negative 63 is negative 123. We want to move the u's to the left, so we'll subtract 9u from both sides. All the u's cancel out, so we're left with 32 equals negative 123. This is a false statement. If you get a false statement, there is no solution. So I'm looking for you to write no solution on this one. Okay, let's move on to 2C. We have 23 minus 3 times y minus 7 is equal to 8. So we're going to distribute the negative 3. We have 23 minus 3y plus 21 is equal to 8. We have like terms on the left. We have a 23 and a 21, so we could combine those. So we have negative 3y plus 44 is equal to 8. And now we want to start moving the constants to the right. So minus 44, that will give us negative 3y equals negative 36. Divide by negative 3, and we'll get y equals 12. For part D, we have 5 plus 7 times 2 minus 5x equals 2 times 9x plus 1 minus 13x minus 57. So again, we'll start by distributing. And if it helps you for this last one, this is like distributing a negative 1, so you could write the 1 there. So we'll get 5 plus 14 minus 35x is equal to 18x plus 2 minus 13x plus 57. And so now we will combine like terms. On the left, we have a negative 5 and a positive 14. On the right, we have 18x and a negative 13x that will combine. And we have a 2 and a 57 that will combine. So from that, we will get negative 35x plus 19 is equal to 5x plus 59. Now we'll move our x's to the left. So minus 5x from both sides. And I would move my constants to the right. So minus 19 from both sides. So that'll give us negative 40x is equal to 40. Divide by negative 40. And we'll get x equals negative 1. To part E, we have negative 8 times 7n plus 4 is equal to negative 6 times 8n plus 9. So we start by distributing, and we'll get negative 56n minus 32 is equal to negative 48n minus 54. So from here, we will move our n's to the left. So since I have a negative 48n, I'm going to add 48n to both sides. And then I'm going to add 32 to both sides to move it to the right. So I will have negative 8n is equal to negative 22. Divide by negative 8. I'll have n equals a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And 22 over 8 can reduce. Both of those are even, so they're both divisible by 2. So that would be 11 over 4. So n equals 11/4. I would say don't give me the decimal. Just leave it as a fraction and simplify the fraction as much as possible. So now we're on to 2f. So that one is 17y minus 3 times 4 minus 2y is equal to 11 times y minus 1 plus 12y minus 1. So start by getting rid of the parentheses by distributing. So we'll bring down 17y, and then we'll have minus 12 plus 6y equals 11y minus 11, and then bring down the plus 12 and the minus 1. And now look on each side of your equal sign. On the right-hand side, we have 17y and 6y. So we're going to combine those. So 17 and 6 is 23. So we'll get 23y minus 12 equals. On the right-hand side, we have like terms. So we can combine the y's. 11y and 12y is 23y. And we also have constants that are alike on the right. Negative 11 and negative 1 is negative 12. So we want to get rid of the y's on the right. So we'll subtract 23y from both sides. Notice that that's the same on both sides. So it cancels out completely. And it leaves negative 12 equals negative 12. Since that is a true statement, so negative 12 is equal to negative 12, we will have all real numbers as our solution. Okay, the last part for number 2 is 2g. We have 1/3 times 6n plus 21 equals n minus 7. So if you're distributing here, this 1/3, this is 1/3 times 6, which we could write as 6 over 1. What we're really doing here is dividing 6 by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So 2n. And then similarly, we have 1/3 times 21, which is 21 over 1. Remember, you're just multiplying straight across if you don't like to reduce. So it's 21 over 3, which means 21 divided by 3. So we get 7 equals n minus 7. And so now we want to move the n's to the left. So I will subtract 1n from both sides. And I want to move the constants to the right. So I would subtract 7 from both sides. So 2n minus n is n. Negative 7 and negative 7 is negative 14. So n equals negative 14. I accidentally did number 3 earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and move to number 4. So solve the equation negative 3x plus 2y is equal to 6 for y. So we're being asked to solve for y. So that means we want to get y by itself. So let's start by undoing the negative 3x. So we're adding 3x to both sides. So we have 2y equals 3x plus 6. And now we want to get rid of the 2. So we're going to divide each piece by 2. And we'll get y equals 3 halves x plus 6 over 2 is 3. And that's it for number 4. Remember, we also said that alternatively, because MyOpenMath wanted it as one big fraction, you could think about dividing this whole side by 2 and leaving your answer as y equals 3x plus 6 all over 2. And that would also be fine. So either of those answers would get full credit on the test. All right, number 5, we have 5 part A. It says 6 less than 5 times a number. So the directions ask us to write the phrase as an algebraic expression. So first thing, remember that this phrase, less than, means subtraction, and it flips the order. So this means subtract, and it flips the order. So 6 that was in front has to go last, and 5 times a number needs to go first. We don't know what a number is, so that's what we're labeling x. So 5 times x. So our algebraic expression is 5x minus 6. Okay, and then part B, the quotient of a number in 3. Okay, so the quotient refers to the answer you get when you divide. So it's talking about dividing a number and 3. So since we don't know what a number is, we're going to use x for that. And indicates where you should put the operation. So since it says quotient, you're going to divide 3. So you can write this as x divided by 3 or x over 3, which means x divided by 3. Number 6. So number 6 has several parts. We're solving inequalities. So part A is x minus 1 is less than 13. So the first step is to solve, so get the x by itself. So we'll add 1 to both sides, and that will give us x is less than 14. Once you have the x by itself, you're done solving. So you're going to draw a number line, put whatever number you found as your boundary, and then you're going to decide which way to shade. Since this symbol is a less than, it's pointing to the left, we shade to the left. So I'm shading to the left. Since it does not have an or equal to sign under it, and it's just a less than, we use a parentheses. So to write my interval notation, I have to write it from left to right. So the left side of the graph is over here, and the right side of the graph that's shaded is over here. So to the left, it's going forever, so that's negative infinity. Infinity and negative infinity always get parentheses. And then the right side of the graph is 14 with a parentheses. So I'm saying my answers are all the numbers between negative infinity and 14. So for these, I'm looking for 3 pieces of information. I'm looking for this, which is the solving part. I'm looking for this, which is the graph. And I'm looking for this, which is the interval notation. So you should give me all 3 of those pieces on the test in order to earn full credit. All right, let's look at 6b. So b is negative 5y is less than or equal to negative 15. So we want to get the y by itself, so we would divide by negative 5, and we would get y. Remember, if you multiply or divide by a negative, flip the inequality symbol. Okay, so that's the case here. I'm dividing by a negative 5. So now instead of a less than or equal to, I'm going to have a greater than or equal to. Negative 15 divided by negative 5 is a positive 3. So I'm going to draw my number line, put my boundary point on it, which is 3. Since it's a greater than, it's pointing to the right. So I'm going to shade to the right. Since it has the or equal to sign under it, I'm going to have a bracket. So my interval notation is left to right. So the shaded part of my graph starts at 3 with a bracket, and it goes forever in the right direction, so to infinity with the parentheses. Again, remember, infinity and negative infinity always get parentheses. They never get a square bracket. Let's look at 6c. So c is 6p is greater than 15p minus 30. So we will start by moving all our p's to the left. So since I have a positive 15p, I'm going to subtract 15p from both sides. That will give me negative 9p is greater than negative 30. I'm going to divide by negative 9. So p, now I have to flip the inequality symbol because I divided by a negative, is less than, 2 negatives make a positive. So I have positive 30 over 9. But then 30 and 9, I can reduce that fraction. So I'm going to divide them both by 3. So p will be less than 10 over 3. Now I'm going to put that on a number line. So my boundary is 10 thirds. it's pointing to the left, so I'm going to shade to the left. And since it does not have an or equal to sign under it, it gets a parentheses. So my interval notation goes from left to right. So the shaded part starts at negative infinity, and the shaded part ends at 10/3. And both of those get parentheses. All right, part D. We have 9x minus 7 times x minus 1 is less than or equal to 4x minus 23. So we want to distribute the negative 7. So we get 9x minus 7x plus 7 is less than or equal to 4x minus 23. On the left, we have some like terms we can combine. 9x minus 7x, that gives us 2x. So 2x plus 7 is less than or equal to 4x minus 23. We want to move our x's to the left, so minus 4x from both sides. And we want to move our constants to the right, so minus 7 from both sides. That's going to give us negative 2x is less than or equal to negative 30. And we'll divide by negative 2. Once again, we have to flip our inequality symbol, so we will get x is greater than or equal to a positive 15. We're going to draw our number line, put our boundary point on the number line. Since it's pointing to the right, it's a greater than, it's shaded to the right. And since it has the or equal to sign underneath, it's going to be a bracket. So our interval, left to right, the shaded part starts at 15 with a bracket, and it goes to the right forever, so infinity, with parentheses. The last part for number 6 is part E. This one is 5n minus 15 times 4 minus n is less than or equal to 10 times n minus 6 plus 10n. So we'll start by distributing. And from there, we'll get 5n minus 60 be plus 15n less than or equal to 10n minus 60 plus 10n. So we'll combine like terms. On the left, we have 5n and 15n, and when we combine those, we'll get 20n minus 60 is less than or equal to, on the right, we have like terms of 10n and 10n, so we combine those and get 20n minus 60. So we want to get our n's on the left, so we would subtract 20n from both sides. Notice that that cancels all the n's out on both sides. So we are left with negative 60 is less than or equal to negative 60. So since we canceled out all of our variables, we have to determine if this is a true statement or not. Negative 60 is equal to negative 60. So since we have the or equal to sign under it, it is a true statement. This means that all real numbers are solutions. If we want to draw a number line, you could draw a number line. There's no boundary, and you would shade the entire number line. And if you wanted to write interval notation, it's everything. So to the left, it goes forever. To the right, it goes forever. So negative infinity to infinity, both with parentheses, would be the answer to 6E. So for number 7, this one I believe has 5 parts. Yes, 5 parts. So I'm just going to read it. I'm not going to write the whole word problem here. There are 9 saxophone players in the band. So first of all, I'm going to use S to denote a sax player and T to denote a tuba player. So let's see, it says there are 9 saxophone players in the band. So S is 9. The number of saxophone players is, so S is 1 less than twice the number of tuba players. So less than indicates subtraction, and it changes the order. So 1 less than twice the number of tuba players. So 2T minus 1. Find the number of tuba players. So since we know that S is 9, we just plug in 9 for S. So this will be 9 equals 2T minus 1. And then we solve. So we add 1 to both sides. We get 10 equals 2T. We divide by 2. So T is 5. That means there are 5 tuba players. For 7, part B, we have the sum of a number and 3 is 41. Find the number. So sum indicates addition. The sum of a number and 3, so x plus 3, is equal to 41. And so to solve, we just subtract 3 from both sides. We get x equals 38. So the number they're looking for is 38. All right, let's look at part C. So part C, the measure of the smallest angle in a right triangle. So I'm going to stop right there and draw my right triangle. So here's my right angle. The measure of the smallest angle is 45 degrees less than the measure of the next larger angle. So 45 degrees less means x minus 45. And then the other one is x. All right, so now we have all of our angles labeled. Remember that all 3 angles together add up to 180 degrees in a triangle. So we'll have 90 plus x minus 45 is equal to 180. On the left, we have some like terms. So x plus x gives us 2x. And then 90 minus 45 would give us plus 45, and that would be equal to 180. And so to finish solving, we would subtract 45 from both sides. Oops. And we would get 2x equals 135. We would divide by 2. And we would get x equals, I believe it's 67.5. Let me make sure here. Yeah, 67.5. So that is degrees, right? So that is the degrees for x. So x is 67.5 degrees. To find the other angle, we would plug in 67.5 where there's an x, and we would subtract the 45, and we would see that that is 22.5 degrees. So it asks for all 3 angles of the triangle. So you would need to give me 67.5, 22.5, and the given 90. So you can either highlight them on your test, or you can write them all down and box them in. So 67.5 degrees, 22.5 degrees, and 90 degrees would be the 3 angles of the triangle. Okay, part D. We have the perimeter of a triangle. So perimeter means we're going to add up all the sides. The perimeter is 97 feet. One side of the triangle is 11 feet more than the smallest side. So let's call this the smallest side. Another side is 11 feet more than that. So that would be x plus 11. And then the third side is 6 feet more than twice the smallest side. So 6 feet more than means plus 6. And it says twice the smallest side, so 2x. So 2x plus 6 is the third side. Find the lengths of all the sides. So we know that the perimeter is 97. So we're going to add up all these pieces. So we have an x from the bottom plus x plus 11 from the left and 2x plus 6 from the right. And that's equal to 97. And now we'll combine our like terms. So we have 1, 2, plus 2 is 4. So 4x. And then the constant terms, we have 11 and 6. So when we add those together, we would get plus 17 is equal to 97. And to solve, we subtract 17 from both sides and get 4x equals 80. Divide by 4. So x is 20. It asks us to find the lengths of all sides. So we found the length of one side. That's 20 feet. And so we're going to look up here. 20 is x, so that one's done. If I plug in 20 for x here, 20 plus 11 is 31. So 31 feet is another side. And then I plug in 20 for x here. So that's 2 times 20 is 40. Plus the 6 would be 46. So 46 feet is the third side. So again, you can highlight these so I know that these are your 3 answers. Or you can write them all down and box them in. So 20 feet, 31 feet, and 46 feet. Okay, the last question from this practice test is part E. The length of a rectangle is 12 centimeters more than the width. So I would start by drawing a rectangle. The length is 12 centimeters more than the width. So if the width is just x, the length is 12 more than that, so that would be x plus 12. So x plus 12. To find a perimeter, remember we just add up all the sides. So the left side is x, the top is x plus 12, the right side is x, and the bottom is x plus 12. And that's equal to, 74. I'm going to combine like terms. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4x. Constants are 12 and 12. So when I add those together, I get 24. And so now to solve, I'm going to subtract 24 from both sides. So I get 4x equals 50. Divide by 4. So x is 12.5. So that is the width. X was the width. So the width is 12.5 centimeters. And the length is, well, if x is 12.5, we would plug that in. So for the length, we have to add 12 to that. We would get 24.5. So the length is 24.5 centimeters.